This week's Torah portion is called Parashat Chayei, Sara, and we read in it about the death of Sarah, even though it says the life of Sarah. It's come to an end and she dies. And we read about Abraham burying her and about him buying a plot, spending a huge amount of money negotiating with this man called Ephron to buy the cave of Machpelah where he buries her. Why is it so important, this cave? So we read in our stories in the Medrash that when Abraham was welcoming the visitors that came to him after he had circumcised himself, that he wanted to give them a beautiful meal. And so he goes to find a calf to bring this food to his guests. The calf runs away and Abraham runs after the calf, which runs into this cave. So Abraham follows, comes in, and he sees there buried Adam and Eve. He also smells the most beautiful smell. And he recognizes that that smell is the smell of the Garden of Eden, and that this cave is the gateway to that garden. And so this is the place where he wants to bury his beloved Sara, and where he will one day be buried, and his descendants. So the importance of burial. Then he eulogizes her, and he cries over her. And the word in the Torah for crying has one letter in it that's smaller than the others. And so many of the commentators speak about that. Why is this letter smaller than all the others? So there are 4 answers I'd like to share with you amongst many. One is that his grief was internal. It was hidden. It was inside of him. And he grieved privately. It was not a public display of grief. So therefore the letter is smaller. Another understanding is that he shed tears of guilt, that he was on some level responsible for Sarah dying, because there's a teaching that she died in response to thinking that Isaac had been sacrificed by Abraham on the altar, as we read about last week. So he's crying with tears of guilt. Another understanding is that he was physically minimized by his grief, that he was bent over, that he was hunched, that he became smaller physically. So therefore the letter is smaller. And finally, the last understanding I like to share is that as he eulogized her, he come to understand her better. Who was she? How much she meant to him. And so he's crying from tears of loss and appreciation of how amazing she was. So what we learn from this is Abraham is grieving, as do we all when we lose people, and that our grief is complicated and it has many different layers to it. And each one of us grieves personally and individually and different than anyone else. And so as we grieve our own losses, as we appreciate the losses that other people have, we can understand that the expression of grief is unique to who we are. We should respect it. And then we should understand, like Abraham did, that he was still alive and he remarries and he has more children. So there's many lessons to learn here about burial, about the importance of grieving, the complicated nature of grieving, and the importance to continue living even when we hold hearts that are broken.